So, it's about time. Sega finally releases a new Sega Genesis slash Mega Drive Mini, and it's done, right in the waning period of the mini console fad. Yay! Let's get into it. Skip it, bada bada. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Adventure Link here. Coming back at you with some more gaming news. For the first time in, well, a hot minute. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to KY on Patreon, aka KY Leia, for being a patron. With that being said, it's now time to get into the meat and potato of the story. As said, Sega is going to release a new Genesis slash Mega Drive Mini. It will come out September 19, 2019. I found this on the official Sega Twitter page and on The Verge. Links to those sources will be in the video description. This was announced at Sega FES, however you pronounce that, at the 2019 event of that. The console is now made by some company called M2 rather than At Games. Yay! Which, as you know, they've been using At Games for the longest time. To fans' disgust. That being said, just like the At Games version, it's also set to look like a miniaturized version of a Sega Genesis slash Mega Drive. A Model 1 version, that is. And there are going to be 2 button configurations for the US and for Japan. You get a single 6-button controller on the Mega Drive, which is, like I said, Japan release. Although you can buy the 2-controller edition for about $80 USD or 8,980 yen. This time it appears that they're using standard USB connections for the controllers either way, rather than the old 9-pin DV serial connector type or whatever that is. It did look like a 9-pin DV connector. Whether or not these controllers will work on the PCs, just like how you can do with old Sega Genesis controllers, plug them into Ataris, possibly old PCs too, and make them work, remains to be seen. And also not just on PCs, phones, Raspberry Pis, Nano Pis, Odroids, blah blah. My bad, blah 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 blah. The prices are as follows. Like I said, you can get a dual controller unit for 8,980 yen, or about $80 USD for the Japanese Mega Drive edition. Though they do get a bit of a price break. There's a single controller edition out that's going to be about 6,980 yen, or about $60 USD. Unfortunately, us Americans for the Genesis version don't get such glories, because we're going to get the old three-button controllers. We get 2 in the pack, and it retails for $80 USD. 40 games will come on the Mini, 40 real Sega games on the Mini, just like it was with the At Games days. Only this time it's just 40 real Sega games, rather than, the 40 real Sega games plus 40 crappy homebrew games like you would see on the At Games models. Right now we know about some of the games. The games that we know of now are as follows. The common games you'll see on the US and Japan releases are Castlevania Bloodlines, Comic Zone, Gunstar Heroes, Shining Force, and Puyo Puyo 2. Although it should be noted that Puyo Puyo 2 in the States was called Dr. Robotnik's Bean Bean Machine, which, as I recall, is more or less the same game, only DRMBM was Robotnik themed and had the enemy set out as a Badniks. You could pretty much say that Puyo Puyo franchise is just like the Pound of the Pond franchise. It's called Puyo Puyo 2 in Japan, and had the same things like, Pound of the Pond, starred Lip and her fairy friends, and had the panels. Then in the States, we got Tetris Attack, which was, had Yoshi theme, and Yoshi's Island Friends enemies turned to friends, rather. And then, of course, you had the Pokemon Puzzle League and Puzzle Challenge. So, yeah, there is that. Japanese exclusives are Madao Monogatari Ichi, whatever that is. Powerball. I'm sure we're not talking about the USA Lottery version here. Rent a Hero, again, whatever that is. Sonic 2 and Space Harrier 2, whatever that is. The Genesis games are... The Genesis, the USA release gets Altered Beast, Echo the Dolphin, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and Space Harrier 2, although that was a little bit of oversight by me when I wrote the script. Oops. It's not the first time I've done this, and it's not the last. And last but not least, the American exclusive is Toe Jam and Earl, although this one's very fitting because Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove, as you know, just dropped on March 1st, 2019 and started this month for all consoles and PC. Of course, there's additional games that will be announced, and when they do get announced, I will be back to call it out. And of course, if it ends up being an epic failure before release like the PlayStation Classic was, I'll be here to call that out too. Of course, this is a rather late entry to the mini console ring for the Sega Genesis, but you got to keep in mind that there were lots of these Genesis minis and clones for the longest time. Heck, even Ben Heck, yeah, Benjamin J. Heckendorn himself, took the Radica Genesis Mini and then turned that into a portable. If I can find the articles on that and or some pictures, I'll post some links in the video description. But yeah, he even took the old Radica Genesis Mini and made it portable. And then of course, we had all these old at-games Genesises for the longest time. And of course, with Sega going with yet another company, which again is that M2, they did have to make sure they get this one right. I mean, remember the PS1 Mini? I remember. And so does Pepperidge Farm, and I'm sure you do too. How much of an epic failure that was, considering I covered it on my channel, some of it. Just like on the at-Games Genesis consoles, the M2 version will also have an opening cartridge store. Whether or not this is functional, just like it was on the at-Games units, still remains to be seen. So, what do I think about this new Genesis Mini? Is it worth getting, or should it be a pass? Well, since they came out and said we're going to get the M2 version, rather than some more at-Games erratica stuff, it's pretty much on the fence right now. I'm still in the camp of Nintendo does what the others don't. Yeah, because we had two successful Nintendo Minis, the NES Mini and the Super Nintendo Mini, both sold with a lot of fanfare and of course a lot of scalping, like always with Nintendo products. And then of course out comes this PlayStation Classic, which was an epic failure. And then all the years of Radica and mostly at-Games Genesises, pretty much left a bad taste in gamers' mouths. So, yeah, whether or not this will be a flop, remains to be seen. But if it does turn into a flop before release, like I said, I will call it out. But of course, so far, this looks like pretty much a more unique list compared to the at-Games stuff. Because one thing for sure, you would never see games like Shining Force on the at-Games minis, because it seems like that only the at-Games minis, either had games that had like the password save system, or there'd be no save system at all, but you still get save states. Although here, you obviously get a battery backed up game, which is Shining Force, so there is that. Additionally, you got games like popular failed franchises or brought back franchises, like Echo the Dolphin and Toe Jam and Earl respectively, which I will say this about Toe Jam and Earl, it's pretty good. At least on the Back in the Groove one's pretty good. Go check it out on a side note. So, yeah, it's pretty much all I gotta say on this. Hopefully, there'll be save states, just like it was on the other consoles, and also be HDMI for sure. Of course, whether or not the hardware and all that, will be like another little cheap ARM-based board or some other nonsense like that, remains to be seen here. So this is pretty early. This seems to be, getting me pretty hyped up and exciting for this. So I would pretty much, rate the Genesis Mini / MegaDrive, somewhere in between Nintendo and PlayStation. The awesome side being Nintendo and the sucky side being PlayStation. Like I said, it seems to be like in the middle here, but again, everything remains to be seen. So I'm pretty much curious on your thoughts on a Sega Mini. What you think of the M2 Mini? If you're excited, if you're going to get one on pre-order, get one on release, which if there's a pre-order, like I said, it will be up and I will call it out. Links will be in the video description. And or, like I said, I'll call it out then and put a link to that video in the video description. But yeah, like I said, all your thoughts and comments on it, please take it down in the YouTube comments below. Let's start a discussion here. Of course, a clean, honest discussion, no, name calling or uncivility, disrespect, or some other stupid nonsense like that. But, anyways, I'm Adventure Link. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your support, past, present, and future. Special thanks once again goes out to KY on Patreon, aka KY Lay on Facebook, for being a patron. Other than leave a comment in the YouTube comments below, be sure to also rate, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, and other Genesis fans and MegaDrive fans, because it looks like we're going to have console wars again. Yay. War. War never changes. Yeah, make sure you do that. That way, it tells YouTube, myself, I'm doing a good job or not, not making crappy videos. As long as you all keep liking and watching, I'll keep making videos. It helps to get my word out. It helps me make a living here on YouTube, or at least I'll get it kickstarted on the gaming channel anyway. And of course, if you never want to miss a video from me again, you gotta ring that bell. Medical bills and social media donations, video description. Check it out down below. Please consider donating. Social media is in the video description. Please consider following me on social media. Remember, every ounce of your support helps out. Every dollar amount helps out for donations. As Games from the Grave say, it'll keep this channel and myself alive and undead. Gonna sign off with the wise words of wisdom from Eric the Car Guy, reminding you guys to be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty. And as Eric O would say, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Take care. See you all for the next video. And until next we meet, game on.